Listening to real stories is one of the easiest and most natural ways to improve your English. No pressure, no textbooks, just relaxing, enjoying, and learning through experience. If this feels like your kind of learning, make sure to follow us, like this video, and come back every day for more. He was not in a hurry. It was one of those afternoons where the light falls slowly and the air feels calm. He had no plans, no place to be, just a slow walk through streets he already knew too well. The city around him was doing what it always did. Cars passing, people talking, shops open, signs shining. It was the normal kind of busy. He passed the corner shop, the cafe with the yellow chairs, and the quiet bookstore where he sometimes looked at covers but never bought anything. Everything felt the same, until he turned into a quieter street. It was just one street away from the main road, but it felt different. The noise faded. The people disappeared. Even the air smelled a little older, like dust and wood. That was when he heard it. It wasn't a loud sound, and it wasn't music either. It was something softer. A kind of melody, like someone playing an instrument slowly and alone. It came from the alley on his right, a narrow path between two old buildings. He stopped walking. He didn't know what made him stop. Maybe it was the feeling in the sound. Or maybe it was the fact that it didn't belong to the busy city noise he had just left behind. It felt secret, like something not meant for everyone. He looked around. No one else was there. He stepped toward the alley. The sound continued, soft, slow, thoughtful. He couldn't tell if it was a violin or a strange kind of flute, maybe even something homemade. It was beautiful in a strange way, not perfect but full of feeling. The alley was narrow, just enough for one person to walk comfortably. The buildings on both sides were tall and blocked most of the sunlight. The ground was uneven, with patches of moss growing between the cracks. Old pipes ran down the sides of the buildings, and wires crossed above his head. He walked in slowly. With each step, the sound became clearer. It echoed off the walls in a way that made it feel like it was everywhere. It wasn't coming from a speaker. It felt real, live, human. He passed a broken chair, an empty birdcage, a small shoe without a pair. Little forgotten things people had left behind. It made the place feel like a memory. At the end of the alley, there was a gate, half open. The sound came from behind it. He pushed it gently. Inside was a small courtyard. A hidden space between buildings, full of light and shadow. Plants grew wild along the walls, ivy, ferns, even a small tree growing from a crack in the stone. A bicycle leaned against the wall. On a wooden bench, surrounded by pots and old garden tools, sat an old man. He was playing a strange-looking instrument. It had strings like a guitar, but it was shaped differently, as if it had been made by hand. The man's eyes were closed. His hands moved gently, as if the music was flowing through him, not from him. The young man didn't say anything. He didn't want to break the moment. He just sat down on a low step and listened. The music filled the space like water in a bowl. It touched every part of the courtyard. It was slow and full of emotion. Not sad, not happy, just real, like someone telling the truth without words. After a while, the old man opened his eyes and saw the boy sitting there. He didn't speak. He just smiled, like he had been expecting someone to find him. They didn't talk. They didn't need to. The young man stayed there for what felt like hours. The music changed slowly, sometimes light like the wind, sometimes deep like footsteps at night. It was the kind of sound that made your thoughts go quiet, the kind that takes you far away and brings you back different. When the man finally stopped playing, the courtyard felt very still. The air held the last note for a long time. The boy stood up, gave a small nod, and walked back through the gate. Back in the alley, the city sounds slowly returned. He walked out and blended back into the normal world, the shops, the cars, the people. But something inside him was different now. He kept hearing the music in his mind. He kept thinking about how he almost didn't stop, and he wondered how many other hidden sounds and secret courtyards there were in the world, just waiting for someone to listen. You just listened to a complete English story, and you learned more than you realize just by enjoying. Come back tomorrow for more, and remember, sometimes the smallest sound can lead to the biggest feeling.